The Truth About Reconstruction. Part 4. Congress takes control. The fight between President Andrew Johnson and Congress was no longer just a political disagreement. By 1867, it had become a battle over who would decide the future of the United States. Johnson had already vetoed the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Congress had overridden him, something that had rarely happened in American history, but the conflict was only getting started. Johnson believed Reconstruction should restore the Union as quickly as possible. He argued that the Southern states had never truly left the Union and therefore should be allowed to manage their own affairs with only limited federal oversight. Congress saw something very different. Reports from across the South described violence against freedmen, the rise of black codes, attacks on Unionists, and former Confederates returning to positions of power. To many Republicans, Johnson's policies were allowing the same men who had led the Confederacy to reclaim political control, while leaving formerly enslaved people almost completely unprotected. Congress decided it could no longer trust the president to carry out Reconstruction. In March 1867, lawmakers passed the first Reconstruction Act. Johnson vetoed it. Once again, Congress overrode his veto. This was a remarkable moment in American history. For the second time in less than a year, Congress simply ignored the president. The Reconstruction Acts fundamentally changed the course of American history. Congress divided most of the South into 5 military districts commanded by Union generals. Military commanders now supervised elections, protected civil rights, and oversaw the writing of entirely new state constitutions. To regain representation in Congress, Southern states had to ratify the 14th Amendment and guarantee voting rights for black men. Reconstruction had entered an entirely new phase. It was no longer presidential Reconstruction, it was congressional Reconstruction. For many white Southerners, this felt like military occupation. For many formerly enslaved people, it represented the first real opportunity to exercise political rights with some degree of federal protection. Across the South, Black Americans began voting in large numbers for the first time. Many served on juries. Thousands held local offices. More than 600 African Americans would eventually serve in state legislatures during Reconstruction. Several were elected to Congress. These changes were revolutionary. Only a few years earlier, slavery had been legal. Now, black citizens were helping write state constitutions and serving in government. But these changes also produced fierce resistance. Groups like the Ku Klux Klan used intimidation, beatings, and murder to discourage black voting. Violence became an everyday reality across much of the South. Meanwhile, the battle in Washington continued. In 1867, lawmakers passed the Tenure of Office Act. Its real target was Secretary of War Edwin Stanton, who supported congressional Reconstruction. Johnson wanted him gone. Congress wanted him exactly where he was. In February 1868, Johnson decided to test the law and remove Stanton anyway. That decision triggered a constitutional crisis. Within days, the House of Representatives voted to impeach President Andrew Johnson. Impeachment is often misunderstood. It does not remove a president from office. It is the formal accusation, similar to an indictment. The trial takes place in the Senate. The House approved 11 articles of impeachment centered on his violation of the Tenure of Office Act and his attempts to obstruct Reconstruction. When the final vote was counted, Johnson survived by a margin of just 1 vote. One more guilty vote would have removed the president from office. Johnson remained president, but his political power was effectively finished. Congress now controlled Reconstruction. The 14th Amendment became part of the Constitution, and before long, another constitutional amendment would attempt to secure the right to vote. That, however, would prove to be another battle entirely. Next time, we'll examine the 15th Amendment, the election of Ulysses S. Grant, and the rise of black political leadership. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe here on YouTube to stay updated with our historical series. Or join our Patreon group to support our research and gain access to exclusive content. See you in the next chapter.